We may be seated. Thank you so much. Let me take this opportunity to welcome and greet everyone who is here. This is Women's Month. Happy Women's Month. To all the women who are in this hall, you are mostly welcome. My name is Mami Morashwa. I am a Capricorn Talk producer based here in Polokwane. I am the child of this university. Dr. Mabelebele, the Vice Chancellor, I am the child of this university. And it's such an honor to come back here once again. Thank you so much. Let me take this opportunity before I call upon on the stage our guests for today. Let me introduce those who are here. We've got the Council of the University of Limpopo, led by its chairperson, Mr. Bandelani Nefolovondwe. May you kindly just wave Mr. Nefolovondwe. A round of applause for our chairperson. And we've got the Vice Chancellor and Principal, Dr. Josephine Moshobane. He's here. We've got our Deputy Vice Chancellors for Teaching and Learning, Professor Richard Madaje. We've got a Vice Chancellor for Research, Innovation and Partnerships, Professor Marlies van Staden. Members of the Executive Management. We've got the Registrar, Professor Kwena Masha. Hey, Prof. Members of the academic staff and support staff, you are all welcome. The esteemed Moshobane family led by Ntate Maripa Moshobane. Where is he? Ntate Moshobane? The Student Representative Council led by Mr. Mitlapi. Invited guests, and our guest speaker, Faith Mangope from Metro FM. Mongmabu Hoshi Ramupudu the second. In my culture, Hoshi cannot stand up, but Hoshi, with respect, please wave. Mongmabu, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and how are you? Leshapo, I am so excited because I can see that this hall is full of Ma 2000. I always say I'd like to minister to Ma 2000 because you are the future generation of this country. Thank you so much for joining us. Do you all know why we are here today? Why? This is the 5th annual Josephine Moshobane Memorial Lecture. This is the 40th year since our mother passed on. This is a woman who walked so that a woman like me and Faith Mangope could have a voice on the radio and on TV. Faith, thank you so much for joining us, a colleague in the media. I always say that you and I, women like us, our voices have always been stifled because every time you listen to current affairs shows, you'd hear a voice of a man. Every time they say someone is the current affairs producer, it's always a man. We thank women like Mama Josephine Moshobane who made sure that a woman like me and a woman like you can have a voice in the media. To the Moshobane family, thank you so much for giving us Mama, and the University of Limpopo. Thank you so much for always making sure that you honor stalwarts like Mama Josephine Moshobane. She was also a student here. Thank you so much to the University of Limpopo for always making sure that you celebrate women like this. I'm not going to give a keynote address because that's not what I am here for. Before we make ourselves comfortable, we have to make sure that the university welcomes us officially. And I will call upon the stage the Vice Chancellor and Principal, Dr. Josephine Moshobane Memorial. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Ms. Murashwa. And good morning to you all. Good morning. I should perhaps start off by, I'm tempted to say that I should have said I will rise on the already established protocol. But given the fact that my employers are here, I don't know how that will sit with them if I were to employ that tactic. So let me rather re-acknowledge the dignitaries and the guests here in this hall. Starting off with the family of Moshobane, represented here by Bali, who is the niece, Maripa, the younger brother, Trifina, the sister, and other members of the family who are here with us today. Chairperson of Council of the University, Mr. Nefolo Vodwe, and a member of Council and Deputy President of Convocation, Mr. Mavila, who is also here, our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Madache, and other members of Executive Management present here today. We also have royalty in our midst, represented, as already said, by Khoshira Mukudu II, but also Mushatwari Khali is also here, represented by both Mr. Mavapa and Mr. Masenya. I think they are here as well in the hall. Our SRC representative, Mr. Metlape, Chairperson of URASA, Kucho Sinyatsi Hansa, our staff, both academic and support and admin staff, our students who are all here, who are also here today, our learners who came from schools around Teflop and adjacent areas, and our distinguished guests, including also Mr. Ushielo, that I've also left out. Mr. Ushielo, as you know, has got a very intricate relationship with this university. He has been a chairperson of the council of this university, but also he served on the executive committee of convocation, and we consider him now a friend to this university. Mr. Ushielo, you're also welcome. I should also indicate that Faith did not come alone. The mother also is here with us, who has assumed the role of a mentor, bodyguard, and you name it. She's here to ensure that safety and welfare, well-being are both being served. Ladies and gentlemen, I should start off by welcoming all of you to the 5th Josephine Moshobane Annual Memorial Lecture on the occasion of the 40th anniversary of her death. The University of Limpopo is deeply honored by your presence at this memorial lecture. And your very presence is in itself an acknowledgement of the role played by Josephine Moshobane and a generation in repositioning the role of this university as an instrument for socio-economic change. It is our view that there is no better place to preserve and promote the legacy of Moshobane than at this university. A place of knowledge production, a place where critical minds are shaped, and a place where various forms of knowledge or knowledges collide. It is at this university where scholars and students are allowed to and encouraged to critique and question dominant and popular views and narratives about our history, about our country, and about our development trajectory. It is a place where both students and staff are called upon to reflect critically on the social, cultural, political, economic, and historical direction of this country. As my role is just to welcome you, allow me to express our profound gratitude to the family of Moshobane, represented by colleagues that I earlier on mentioned. And on behalf of this university, and in my own name, I would like to thank you for your continued partnership with us, as we collectively declare that the university's history and the struggle for freedom in this country Moshobane have said, if she was alive, given the direction that our country is taking. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you all to this memorial lecture. May your address prick your conscience. May the address and the deliberations to follow meet the highest standards set by Josephine Moshobane and her generation. Welcome to this memorial lecture, and thank you very much.
The Vice Chancellor and the Principal of the University of Limpopo, Dr. Josephine Moshobane Memorial, thank you so much for that beautiful welcoming note. We really feel welcomed. Now we can lose our morals, as my 2000 say. Ntate Beni Bushielo, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. You are mostly welcome. He is the friend of the university, as Dr. Mabelebele has already mentioned. This is the man who has a mine in his pockets. Gold, so to say. And those of you who don't really know him, he is the husband of the Deputy Minister of Police, Dr. Poli Bushielo. I was having a conversation with him saying, I'm going to put you on the spotlight. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. We really are graced by your event. Thank you so much. We really have much time in our hands.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, the Moshobane Tiro residents and UL choristers. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, please be reminded that this is the 5th installment of the Josephine Moshobane Memorial Lecture. And the theme for this year is Unfinished Business, the struggles that remain on, or the struggles that remain 40 years on. We understand that as women in South Africa, we still have so many challenges. But the question is, 40 years since Mama Josephine passed, what has happened? Will she be proud if she was still around looking at the conditions that we are living under as women? It's important to highlight that the country at the moment is currently faced by the scourge of gender-based violence and femicide. This is one of the most pertinent issues that we need to look into. It's important that we have our men who are in our midst today to reflect and ask themselves, what are we doing as men to protect the young and old women of this country? And I'm so happy that we have men in our midst, because every time when there are events of women by women, men decide to look away. Thank you so much, Dr. Mabelebele, for being here with us today. This is not a matter that we take lightly when it comes to GBV and gender-based violence. When it comes to the issue of economic disparities, it is said that the face of poverty is that of a black woman. And this is very true. Because when you look at positions of power, we still don't have enough representation. And this is a very sad chapter. We are in democracy. It cannot be true that to this day, we still don't have enough female representatives in positions of power. And I pray and hope that those who have the powers to appoint, please also look at the issue of women, because it is not right that we are going to say that women are not capacitated. That is not true. I'm not trying to sound very political, but I am just trying to highlight the issues that we are facing as young women of this generation. 40 years since Mama passed, we have to reflect. We must have honest conversations as to where are we now as the women of this country. Before wasting any further time, let me welcome to the stage Yvette Mbali Moshobane. She was with us last year. She rendered a beautiful item for her grandmother. She is the niece of Mama Josephine Moshobane. She's going to pay tribute once again to her grandmother. Thank you so much for joining us.
Greetings to the House at large, with all protocol observed. For those of you who don't know me, I am Bali Moshobane, the niece of Josephine Moshobane. On behalf of the Moshobane family, we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to the University of Limpopo for once again hosting the Josephine Moshobane Memorial Lecture. The fact that we are gathered here for the 5th time is a testament to the lasting impact that our beloved aunt made on our family, our community, and our country. Josephine Moshobane lived a life of courage, resilience, and selfless service. She stood for justice at a time when doing so came with great sacrifice. Her unwavering commitment to the liberation of people reminds us that true leadership is rooted in humility, integrity, and the willingness to serve others beyond ourselves. As her family, we are incredibly proud that her legacy continues to educate, inspire generations of young people. Seeing students, academics, and the community leaders gather here each year to reflect on the lives she gave us. Reflect on the life she gave us has not been forgotten. To the University of Limpopo, thank you again for preserving her memory in such a meaningful way. Thank you to everyone who contributed to making this annual lecture possible. Your efforts ensure that her values, her sacrifices, and her lessons from her life continue to live on. To the young people present here today, I encourage you to draw inspiration from leaders like Josephine Moshobane. The challenges you face may be different from those of her generation, but the principles remain the same. Principles of courage, education, perseverance, compassion, and a commitment to society. Thank you for allowing us to be part of this special occasion. May her memory continue to be a blessing and a source of inspiration for generations to come. Can I please ask my aunt Josephine Ramrula to just come and share how they grew up with Josephine Moshobane?
Ke le dumedisa kaofela lona. Ke tla rata ho dumedisa modulasetulo e leng yena mo director, ke dumedise le batjhaki ba rona ba re joinile mo mosebetsi wa rona wa ngwana ba rona Sekgane. Ke dumedise le family ya rona kaofela le bana ba sekolo. Nna ke nna Trifina, ke nna o mogolo ke nna ausi wa Josephine. Bo go tla my sister Matlodi, bo go tla yena Josephine. After Josephine go tla Maripa. Ke rona bana ba ha Moshobane, ba Moshobane. So ntho e ne ke nyaka ho le botsa ka yona ke Josephine. Josephine nako re dula le yena ko mo hae, e ne le ngwana mo o discipline. O ne a re ha o etsa selo fela ko rona tla o botsa a re ngwana ko gae ntho e so I right. Ko re o ne a rata dilo di tsamaye ka tshwanelo. Ha na ka bona ntho e sa tsamaye hantle, o ne a tla ko wena tlo o botsa hore mo a o etse tsona ngwana ko gae. O re kaofela rona ne re mo tseba hore o ke motho o ne a rata ntho mara o ne a tlo o buitsa a bue le wena hantle. Wa bona. So o ile a re ha ya ko sekolong a tla mo sekolong se sa Thefo, ke mo a ileng a re ha ntse a bala dibuka tsa hae a joinela mekgatlo ya hae, a joinela ASAP. And then ha ntse a joinetse ntho e ba re ka ASAP, rona ka nako re ne re so tsebe too much ka dilo tsa di-politics what. And then re ne re tla re le ko hae re mmone fela a tle fela, maybe go na le ngwana o ne a tlhokofetse ka di-riots or whatever, a tle ba etse se ba se etsang. And ha ne a tlile o ne a sa o botse gore o tlo etsang, o ne a tla fela a etse ka tla re o tlo robala seneneng o tshabile, and a tsamaya laele, o ne a tsamaya fela kore ka mo gonne ba a rana ntho ya hae o ne kore na salitse o na sa rase na e buela ko tlase kore ne ka re ke sephirinyana sa bona se ne ba se etsa ena le bana bana a le group le bona. And then irile ha boya ko Swaziland a kena a le ka mo ntlong. I'm sure about maybe one day after ebe le hore maphodisa a ke tseba boditse ke mang hore o ile na ile ko Swaziland. I don't know what happened mo mara o ile ra ha boya ra bona ka maphodisa a kena. Maphodisa a rile ha kena ka mo ko ntlong a mputsisa na a re o mang ka ba botsa ka rena ke na Josephine. And then ngwana ko hae o natela nna seo. And then ba butsisa yena Josephine na le teng ba re Josephine ko ena mang a re ke nna Dorothy is my younger sister on natela, it's not Josephine. And then maphodisa a lata papaka a re mo papaka a re o kae Josephine, where is Josephine, ke mang Josephine? Papaka a supa ngwana hae a re ke ole Josephine. Maphodisa a tshwara Josephine. That was the day Josephine a tswa ka mo ntlong a tsamaya le maphodisa. From there we la phela rena re sa tsebe o rile ko teng ba mo kwalla ko ne ba mo kwalletse teng. And then ba mo sotla kwa ka mokgwa ba mo sutlileng ka teng a ba fetsa mo sotla a boya mo a le damage ngqondo ya hae e sa tlola e etsa hantle. And then o ile a re ha boya a boya a tlo rena re mo thabetse kore mama ka o ile a utlwa pele sorry mama ka o ile a utlwa gore ngwana hae o kwalletse ko kae. Mama ka a ya molata ha fitla fetsa molata o ile a re ha boya a boya le yena and then a ba re mo yena a re rena re lo mo dumedisa ha re ra mo dumedisa Josephine a sa tseba motho ka mo ntlong. That was e ne le botlhoko haholo for rona ha re ngwana bo rona o re mo tsebang a sa re tsebe ene ile re heta ntho ka bana ne re maketse gore Josephine ha o re sebe re le bana ba kolona. And then o mongwe o ile re wa bana ba sekolo o na tlile a tlo mo dumedisa a ba re mo yena a re wa mo dumedisa a re mo yena a re wena mo sitse ke na le wena mare motho le gona fitlang gore la bona gore ka moggo ngqondo ya hae ne le damage ka teng o ne a sa tlhola a tseba le gore mang ke mang. And then ke ha ba tlo mo tsamaisa ba mo isa ko bara from ko bara ba mo isitse ko bara from bara general hospital. After general bara ba mo etsa so general bara gore ba mo isa kwa Likwa until ba mo dametsitse ba ile ba re ba mo etsa operation sorry ba ile ba re ba mo etsa operation ya teng a ba damage was paralyzed. Then irile ha antsa ya di up and down tsa dipetlele e be le hore ke o fela ha Josephine nne ke batla fela o le botsa ka le ngwana ko hae a ile a utlwa pain e rena le yena mo yona ka mantswe a o fela ke tlo leboa ke re bana ba tswele pele le bona ba gate mo bo Josephine ba gatileng teng ba tswelise this ntho e bo Josephine ya leboga.
Thank you so much, Mama Josephine Moshobane. I'm going to call upon here on the podium Yvette again to come and light a candle for Mama Josephine in her honor. Please come and join her. Please just light this candle in honor of Mama, and we're going to have a moment of silence, all of us in the hall. I would humbly ask that we all rise so that we observe a moment of silence. Let me help you.
are just still busy here. Just a moment, please, then we will observe a moment of silence. May you please hold those candles? A moment of silence, please. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you so much, Yvette. A heartbreaking tribute by Mama Josephine's sister, Annie. One can tell from her voice that the family is still pained. It's important that we always remember and honor the legacy of Mama Josephine. She died a very painful death. This woman did not die in vain. Let's continue carrying the torch in her honor as women in this country, young and old. She's one of the many women who laid down their lives so that women like you and me can have a better future. And I'm very excited that this lecture, the 40th anniversary of Mama Josephine since she passed, it's happening in a year where we are going for the local government election. Thank you. What a beautiful rendition by Obiase Guijo. You know, it's so funny because when I saw this name here, I thought it's just one person. You guys are super talented. Thank you so much. Dr. Mabelebele, you've got everything in this university. You've got doctors, you've got media personalities, you've got artists. What is it that you do not have, doctor? You've got everything. Thank you so much to Obiase Guijo. Thank you so much for that musical item. Let me just make something clear. We're going to have questions from the floor directed to our guest speaker, Faith Mangope. Please make sure that you have enough questions for her. She's feisty, she's fearless. You can ask her anything but related to this event. Do not ask her to play you a song, please. Faith is a current affairs host. Let's ask the relevant questions. And I'll be very grateful if we get many of the questions from you as learners from different schools. I understand that you're from the different schools under the Mankwin Circuit. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to now call upon the SRC president, but I understand that he is not here. You know, this technical stuff, you'd say I don't work on radio. We are now going to call on the podium Mr. Mitlapi, Kamogelo Mitlapi, who's representing the SRC president, Mr. Comfort Komani. Please come and join us, sir. And as you move next to me, one thing that I know about politicians or politicians to be, you don't like delivering keynote addresses. Please, we've got that reserved for Faith Mangope. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director, and I will try to not take the keynote speaker. Vice Chancellor and the Principal of the University, Dr. Josephine Moshobane Memorial, the members of the University Management, the Moshobane family, the distinguished guests, the members of the University Management, the student leaders, fellow students, and fellow learners, all protocol observed. It is a great honor for the Student Representative Council to stand in front of you to deliver our tribute in this 5th Josephine Moshobane Memorial Lecture. Today we gather to remember and to celebrate the life of Josephine Moshobane, a courageous student leader whose contribution remains deeply connected to the history of the University of Limpopo. Mama Josephine Moshobane was a student during the oppressive apartheid period. She became a committed student activist who advocated for the rights of black students and confronted injustice. At only 24 years of age, she was arrested after returning from Botswana and detained. She was established to cruel treatment and torture while in detention, which severely affected her health. Although she was eventually released, she later passed away in 1986 as a result of the injuries she had endured. After 40 years, her life and sacrifice continue to demonstrate the important role played by students and young people in the struggle of freedom, equality, and justice in South Africa. This lecture ensures that students understand that the University of Limpopo we know today did not develop by chance. It was shaped by courageous leaders who were willing to speak, advocate, and even sacrifice their lives for the right and freedom of others. The name Josephine Moshobane remains visible within our institution. A student resident and Moshobane Square were named in her honor. Moshobane Square is more than just an ordinary gathering place. However, it represents a history of courage, activism, leadership, and sacrifice. Her contribution formed the foundation upon which current students and student leaders continue to build. Her leadership reminds us that every generation has a responsibility to contribute towards the development and transformation of the university. As the current generation, we must not only celebrate Josephine Moshobane's name during memorial lectures. However, we must reflect on her values through our actions by becoming responsible, courageous, and disciplined and service-driven leaders. As the student of the University of Limpopo, we have the responsibility to protect the progress already made while continuing to address academic, social, and living challenges faced by students. We must use our education and leadership to oppose injustice and improve the lives of others. May the life and the legacy of Josephine Moshobane continue to inspire and present and future generation of students to pursue education, justice, and equality, and meaningful leadership. Her contribution is part of our identity, and her legacy must continue to guide the future of the University of Limpopo. Thank you very much.
Kamogelo Metlhapi, who's representing the University of Limpopo SRC President, thank you so much for coming to the podium and giving that beautiful speech. That was short and precise. Thank you. You are learning. Ladies and gentlemen, it's important that we ask ourselves as to where are we now, 40 years since the passing of Mama. And I can never thank enough the University of Limpopo, Prof. Masha, Prof. Madaje, Dr. Mabelebele, and everyone in management for making sure that each year we come here to honor the legacy of Mama. The Moshobane family, thank you so much for making sure that you allow us to be part of your family. Because telling the story of Mama and how she died every year can be very painful for you. Mama Trifina came here and you could still feel the pain in her voice 40 years later. You can tell that this family still wishes and misses Mama. They wish that Mama was still here with them. This is why I say, as the university, we thank you. As a former child of this university, I thank you, because if it wasn't for the sacrifices of Mama, maybe some of us were not even going to be here. Because most of us in this institution come from lower and middle class families. You made sure that you afford us an opportunity to get educated. Thank you so much. The University of Limpopo chorister, please just give us a short item. Just a short item so that we can save time. Indeed, igama lamakhosikazi malibongwe. Thank you so much, Chorister, for that beautiful rendition. Let me just emphasize that we're still going to have a question and answer session, and I would be very happy if we get most of the questions from our learners. The questions will be directed to our guest speaker, Faith Mangope. I'm going to call upon the Performing Arts Center of this institution. Like I mentioned, this university has everything and everyone. A roll call of names. If you are ready, please come to the floor. Performing Arts Center students. I understand they are here with us and they are ready. Please come to the stage.
In the heart of Limpopo, beneath the shadows of brutal regime, a young woman dreamed of liberation. Josephine Moshobane, a daughter of the soil, a student at Teflop, a voice rising against silence. Amandla! Awethu! Matla! Crossing borders was not just geography for her. It was defense. They wanted to erase her, strip her voice, and break her body. 3 months in detention, no lawyer, no charge. She was hidden, beaten, and a report later revealed tortured. Silence was not a consent. It was survival. No one saw the beatings. No camera captured the screams. No lawyer was allowed in. When her body arrived at the hospital, the truth began to reveal the wounds that they could not hide. For 5 months, machine breathed for her. On the 3rd of April 1986, the candle was finally extinguished. Josephine Moshobane, a daughter, a student, a voice rising against the silence, died at the age of 25. Her death was not the end. The pain that she endured was filled with voices that did not want to keep quiet. She was not alone. History tried to forget them, but memories and consent would not. We speak their names today. Audrey Mukwena, Zithulele Sindi, Mutlapule Winnie, Muntu Mieza, Terra Lukota, Joyce Mashamba, Onkgopotse Abraham Tiro, Josephine Moshobane. They wanted to make them silent, but the silence became a song. They buried some of them, but they became a seed. Long live Moshobane, long live! Long live Moshobane, long live! Long live Moshobane, long live! Long live Moshobane, long live!
Megolokwane, a round of applause. I must admit that I got a bit emotional there. Let's be honest, the apartheid regime was brutal. Very brutal. And the question is, are our schools doing enough to teach this young generation about our history? We understand that we're talking about Adolf Hitler and whoever, but are we doing enough to teach these children about the role that was played by Mama Josephine Moshobane? That is very sad. I got emotional and I got angry just to realize that this freedom did not come cheap. This freedom that we are enjoying today did not come cheap. But guess what? They might have killed Mama Josephine, but she multiplied. She multiplied in all of us who are in this hall today. A round of applause for all of us. Moshobane Tiro, choristers, if you are still active and feel like you want to give us something, please stand up just so that we can get a bit of fresh air, because we are very saddened by what we just saw here. If we are ready, please give us something. These are the children of Mr. Bandelani Nefolobodwe. They are very talented, I must say. Thank you so much for that beautiful item. Time is very quickly, and I want to challenge you as the learners who are here. How many of you have questions for our guest speaker? Okay. We're going to have an item for that. You know, Dr. Mawili, when he was here, he mentioned something that touched my heart. You said Faith is not alone. She came here with her mother, who is her mentor and her VIP protector. You know, this just shows that women are capable. Every day is Women's Day. I always tell my colleagues that it's so beautiful to be a woman in South Africa. Because number one, the 14th of February, it's Women's Day. When it's your husband's birthday, you know that it's Women's Day. When it's your male boss birthday, you know that it's Women's Day. When it's Mother's Day, you know that it's Women's Day. In June, when it's Father's Day, you know that it's Women's Day. We are really enjoying ourselves. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. We are going to have Mweti Yarena, a bride. I know that Faith Motswana, you do understand Sepedi, right? Yes, she is our bride for today. But before that, we are going to invite on the podium one woman that I respect so much. I came here, when was it? Was it 2004? Yes, 2004. 2007, we obtained our degrees in media studies, and that is Kuto Sinyati Hanser, who is the UNWASA chairperson. I must say that I'm very proud of you. When we were still students, tiny, without Aromet, no one thought that we would be here today. Please come to the podium and introduce the guest speaker.
Good morning. My name is Kujo Sinyazi Hanser. I would like to pass my greetings to this congregation that is gathered here, from our Vice Chancellor to our guest speaker, Ms. Faith Mangope, SRC, the Moshobane family who do not get tired of coming to the University of Limpopo, the university management, the council, alumni, the DVCs, Khoshira Mupudi and his lovely wife, and the Queen Mother, Babu Shimba Adikhali, and our learners and students and choirs, and everyone who made time to come and celebrate the life that was cut short, but benefited a lot of us here. She's right, I studied here from 2004 to 2006. We are actually the first class of the University of Limpopo and the last class of the University of the North. So I think Mr. Mavila remembers that part. He was in the SRC that time. And it's always a pleasure coming back to speak here on occasions like this. But because I'm a lecturer and I can eat people's time, let me get back to what I'm here to do. And before that, I just want to mention coincidences that are lovely and also form part of the history of the University of Limpopo. Josephine Moshobane passed on 40 years ago, where it was in 1986, where the lovely Faith Mangope and I were born. So in celebrating her life, here's to 40 fierce and fearless. The speaker that I'm going to introduce to you is known as the fierce broadcaster. It means she uses her voice to speak for the voiceless, interrogates where others will keep quiet, and it brings about a question as to how does broadcasting come into the University of Limpopo and this event. Broadcasting, journalism has always been a form of protest. As Black South Africans, historically, everything we've done is a form of protest. Journalism, music, socialization, the classroom, everything was political. Hence, we have Josephine Moshobane today because she was a student who stood for the right. The same way our speaker is speaking on things that benefit the people. So I would like to read her profile so that you can get to know that marketing went all out to bring us the best. Ms. Faith Mangope, most of you know her as a celebrity. She is an internationally recognized award-winning broadcaster, entrepreneur, and thought leader whose influence spans the airwaves, the boardroom, and the classroom. As the host of Metro FM Talk on South Africa's largest commercial radio station, which broadcasts over 4 million listeners daily, she commands one of the most powerful platforms on the African continent for socio-political and economic discourse. Beyond broadcasting, Faith is a pioneering social entrepreneur and the founder of the Faith Mangope Technology and Leadership Institute, a transformative institute on the front lines of Africa's digital revolution, equipping young people with the digital skills, confidence, and opportunities to lead the continent's future economy. Faith Mangope Technology and Leadership Institute, FMTALI, is Faith's most enduring legacy, a bold, results-driven institution designed to close Africa's digital skills gap by investing in young people from disadvantaged backgrounds across South Africa and the continent. The Institute's rigorous year-long program upskills youth in high-demand digital competencies, including data analytics, software development, artificial intelligence, and cloud computing. And then also power skills such as critical thinking, design thinking, and entrepreneurship, which prepares young people not just for jobs, but for leadership. The FMTALI does not simply train, it transforms. The Institute's defining promise is a complete journey that trains, plays, and changes lives. Every graduate is placed directly into employment upon completion, creating immediate economic impact for individuals, families, as well as communities. FMTALI's scalable model is built to expand across African continent, making it a high-impact vehicle for investors and partners committed to Africa's digital future. Her landmark achievements and accolades include personally solicited by the White House to introduce the United States President Barack Obama at the historic Mandela Washington Fellowship Town Hall in Washington, D.C., which is a defining moment of a continental pride as well as global recognition. Mandela Washington Fellow for Young African Leaders, and she is the first South African invited to intern at the Africa.com by the U.S. Department of Entrepreneurship. She is also honored as one of South Africa's powerful women by the Mail and Guardian Power of Women Awards 2022 for outstanding contribution to education and digital development. Named among the top 200 South Africans, Mail and Guardian, and top 100 South Africans independent newspapers. Appointed social cohesion advocate by South Africa's Department of Arts and Culture in 2014, is a faculty member of Duke University in South Africa, facilitating executive leadership, content, and co-producing learning programs for global partnership. Ms. Mangope is also a member of BRICS Business Council Skills Working Group, aligning South African skills with BRICS nation. And then her broadcasting legacy include that she is the current host of FM Talk. She is the former host of the South African Morning at ENCA, former station manager at Massive Metro, which is an urban digital radio, former host Sunrise ETV's flagship breakfast television show. She's also host of Current Affairs Talk at YFM, and then she's also the executive producer, the John Robbie Show, Early Breakfast, she's a former actually, Early Breakfast Talk Radio 702, Afternoon Drive with David O'Sullivan, and Talk at Night. She's also a global speaker, and then she's highly sought after internationally, and then has addressed audiences at Mandela Washington Fellowship, the Malawi Institute of Chartered Accountants Conference, meetings, Africa Summit, Women's Empowerment, and youth forums across South Africa. She has been featured in Times, The Sowetan, Destiny, Drum, Glamour, True Love, Fair Lady, and Cleo, among many others. Ms. Mangope, ke ba gago.
I see students coming in, and I don't want you to miss this, so I'm going to give you a moment so that you can take your seats. My heart beams with pride when I see young people in a room like this. So I'm just going to give you about 30 seconds so that you can just start settling in. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I need to hear you better than that. I want us to talk today. We've got a lot of talking to do. You and I have a conversation to get into, and we don't have enough time to do so. Good afternoon. Let me try it again. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you very much to the leadership of the University of Limpopo. I thank you deeply for your consideration and subsequent invitation to deliver the keynote address reflecting on the life of a great giant who once walked the halls of this institution and who once lived amongst us. To the Moshobane family, I thank you for the sacrifice that your daughter paid to be counted amongst those who ensured that this beautiful country of ours realizes its democracy. What your daughter started, it will be completed. And that I promise you, that what your daughter started, it will be completed. I thank you for sharing her with us. I thank you for expressing your pain towards the unfinished business when it comes to finding out who killed your child. I thank you for taking the time out to relive this pain over and over again. And I hope that someday we will know who took away your child. Because that must be found out. Program Director, Ms. Hansa, thank you so much for that introduction. As you were speaking, I thought, who the heck are they talking about? Who is this woman? But indeed, I'll just give a brief introduction. So my name is indeed Faith Mangope. I'm an international award-winning broadcaster working at the SABC on Metro FM from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. I host a current affairs and business show looking at economic policy and the state of our nation, because I truly believe it's time for us to have an honest conversation about the state of our nation. As mentioned, the founder of the Faith Mangope Technology and Leadership Institute, an institution that we're working to get 1,000 students with us on campus every single day for the 12-month program we have annually, which after the completion of our program, we place them in jobs, and also 10,000 young people across the African continent joining us to study so that they can too be placed in jobs. I'm not talking about work opportunity, I'm talking about jobs. So, for example, the Faith Mangope Technology and Leadership Institute, we've got about 62 candidates permanently employed at First National Bank. We've got our students employed, and just a note for us, at First National Bank, the starting salary for our students is 25,000 Rand. So when I say that I'm in the business of creating jobs, I don't lie. I'm in the business of ensuring that young people in this country get jobs, because somebody has to. Someone has to. 14 of our candidates are employed by PwC permanently. Permanent employment at PwC. Their starting salary is 25,000 Rand. Our partners, we just signed on. In fact, yesterday, I was at the offices of the Development Bank of Southern Africa, because the Development Bank of Southern Africa for this year have just funded 20 of our students. We are funded by the Momentum Group Foundation, the Motsepe Foundation, who also provided laptops for our students, including hiring our students after the completion of their program. We're in partnership with Yes for Youth, with the Youth Employment Service, and like partners such as Balron, Kategile, Pay Central, China Dynamics, and the like. I'm in the business of ensuring that our young people at least have hope. But that's not why I'm here this afternoon. I'd like to speak to you about the unfinished business left for us by the icons such as Josephine Moshobane, Jerome Make, Ilek Nchabileng, Peter Mukaba, Shakes Makado. You see, we find ourselves in a very interesting space in South Africa where we live in a political democracy characterized by different kind of segregation. A segregation where only a few live in the top echelons of luxury, whilst the majority of this country goes to bed hungry. We live in a country where, according to reports such as the Oxfam report, Time magazine, and under the reports that will say, and I want to quote this because when I was doing research on this, it boggled my mind. This is what the Oxfam report says, that there is no evidence that wealth inequality has decreased since the end of apartheid. Asset allocations before 1993 still continue to shape wealth inequality. In other words, in simple English, those who were wealthy under an apartheid system continue to enjoy their wealth today. And those who were poor under an apartheid system continue to endure the poverty today. In fact, according to the Thomas Piketty-backed World Inequality Lab, attempts by the now democratic government to wipe away the legacy of apartheid and colonialism have failed to narrow the imbalance between rich and poor. Here's another statistic to sleep on. 3,500 adults in South Africa own more than the poorest 32 million people in the country. This country's wealth is controlled by 3,200 people, give or take. And I'm willing to bet that the majority of that 3,200 people do not have a black face. How is it that 3,200 people, who, by the way, became wealthy out of exploiting the very same black majority, continue to enjoy the spoils of apartheid and democracy? That is not economic justice. In fact, I would go further and say, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Let me tell you something else that doesn't make sense. That the government of the last 6 administration was what you would call a black government. In fact, the government of national unity is still predominantly black. But then you have to ask yourself the question, why did we conquer the right to vote, but fail to conquer the right to give our people socio-economic dignity? Why is it that when we were sitting at the table and the question was asked about the type of South Africa that we would envision, we took the vote. Sure, we go to the ballot paper and we cast our vote. But we left land at the table. We left economic justice. It doesn't make sense that a country has got a few multimillionaires and billionaires, and yet those who shed their blood for this democracy, many of them can't even send their children to school. Their blood. There are families in this country who do not know where the bones of their loved ones are buried. There are families in this country who have to endure with someone who was participating in the liberation movement and was electrocuted and was beaten and was brutalized. Until today, that family goes to bed hungry. You tell me where the justice is in that. How is it that we were looking towards a democratic dispensation, somewhere, somehow, the majority of the people of this country still cannot enjoy the spoils of democracy? In fact, I'm willing to bet that if I ask this room, are you free? a majority of you will say no. Because I tell you what is not freedom. If you cannot pay for your school fees, if you cannot pay for your higher education, if you do not have running water in your house, if you don't even have a shelter, if you can't put food on the table, if you can't take your children to the schools that you want to take them to, if by the 3rd of every month you've got no money in your bank account, that's not freedom. That's not freedom. If every time by the 3rd of this month you are broke, that's not freedom. And yet somewhere, somehow, there are a few of us who have got so much wealth that we can buy this country. And yet on the other side of the coin, there are those of us who, though shed their blood to realize this democracy, cannot do the basic of sending their children to school. Understood the effects and the impact of apartheid, then you have to tell me something. Why do we have 20.5 million South Africans that are dependent on a social grant? Why? Can I be controversial for a second? You gotta respond. Can I be controversial for a second? No country, I don't care what anybody says to you, should have a majority of its people and its young people dependent on a grant because there are no opportunities out there. That is not wealth. That is not democracy. That is not democracy. That is poverty. 350 rand or 370 rand should not be something that we clap for. You can't clap for 370 rand. It's not. You can't have children in this country that rely on 370 rand and call yourself a working. It's called a failed state. That's what it's called. When your children go to bed hungry, that is not a thriving democracy. When you're growing by 0.8% for the past decade, according to the gross GDP figures, 0.8%. Now, look, I might not have been the best math student, and you will help me, VC. But surely when you put a 0 in front of a number, 0, but not 1, not 2, but when you put a 0 in front of a number, what does it mean, 0? Like, if you put a 0, like if I'm going by 0, pardon? Insignificant. Okay. No, because sometimes, you know, when you listen to the news, and I know it because I'm in the news, right? And we like sugarcoating numbers so that we can give you a number that can put you to bed and make you go to work the next day. So maybe you can help me, sir. When I put a 0 in front of a number, it means 0. Right? I mean, you guys are in what? Grade 10, grade 11, grade 12? Grade 12. What's 0 of 0? What is the 0 of 0? Okay, so now, help me, we're getting somewhere. Well done, you side. I'm going to come to this side. Students, if an economy is growing by 0, it means that it's growing by? Okay, English. So if the economy is growing by 0, it means that it's growing by? How is that a thriving democracy? Adults in the room, I'm going to take it back to you. You see, we tell them to go to school, don't do drugs, don't get into trouble, get your matric, attend school every single day, do your homework. But what you fail to tell them is by the time school, when your economy is growing by nothing, who's going to employ them? Who's going to employ them? In order for the economy to employ these young people, the economy needs to be growing. In fact, the National Development Plan said that we must grow by 5% in order for us to realize true structural reform. That is the National Development Plan. That's why we've got something called the National Planning Commission. That's what the NDP said. It said, you know what, actually, South Africa, we've got a plan for you. If you want to grow significantly and have a space and a future for our young people, you need to be able to grow by about 5%. It was during the State of the Nation address that President Cyril Ramaphosa said, you know what, we need to grow by 3%. We're growing by 0.8. Let me tell you something else that doesn't make sense to me. How do you have 9.5 million 15 to 34-year-olds that are not in employment, not in education, and not in training? That's the number, 9.5 million. 3.5 million between 15 to 24 are not in employment, not in education, and not in training. We like using the 3.5 because sometimes it's palatable. Because how can we say 9.5 million of them are not in education, not in employment, and not in training? Let me tell you something. When you've got young people who wake up every single Monday and they've got nowhere else to go, when they start committing a crime so that they can put food on the table, that becomes a threat to national security, but it is a threat that we as the adults in the room created. You cannot have 9.5 million young people not in education, not in employment, and not in training, and you call it a thriving democracy. It is thriving for who? Who's benefiting off this thriving democracy? You cannot have 46.9% of black women unemployed in South Africa. 46.9. Now, I have to ask myself the question. If those who make up cabinet understand the realities of segregation, lived in those realities and fought against them, why is it that when we negotiated, we didn't take the economic justice part? But perhaps to understand some of these questions, I make reference to what the giant Josephine Moshobane was subjected to under the apartheid government. As the students illustrated, she was held for about 3 months under the notorious Section 29 of the Internal Security Act, which provided for indefinite detention for interrogation without access to lawyers or family members. She was electrocuted, tortured, beaten, which subsequently led to brain damage. As if the brutality was not enough, the security police paraded Moshobane in front of students, activists on campus here, telling them that they would meet the same fate if they continued their revolutionary activities. You see, the apartheid of Hendrik Verwoerd, the architect, was not just physical, it was psychological. To understand the system, one must understand the architect. You must be able to go back to the person who was part of the founding fathers of this apartheid regime. You have to understand what the author had in mind. what the architect had in mind, because sometimes when we talk about apartheid, we speak about apartheid as if it was just legislation, and then it was torture, and then it was brutality. It was a mindset. It was a mindset. You see, the architect studied at Stellenbosch University, earning the master's degree and a doctorate in psychology. He later became a professor of applied psychology and sociology. Do you know that the architect of apartheid traveled to Europe in 1926 to further his studies in psychology and philosophy? While in Europe, he was exposed to the contemporary European ideas regarding social engineering, organizational control, and state-directed societal structures rather than formal racial separation theories. In other words, he understood that apartheid is not physical, it is mental. If you can convince white racists that the black face is less than human, then you can kill the black face without losing a wink of sleep. Apartheid is not physical. Apartheid is psychological. Why do you think that the very same apartheid police who would be brutal towards a Josephine Moshobane would be the same ones who go to church on Sunday? Am I lying? You see, apartheid was also perpetuated in the church, in the Afrikaner church. I can even take it deep. Can I be controversial for a little bit? Because I don't think we understand how psychological this thing is. Do you know that the term kafir is actually a term that means non-believer? Non-believer. It was used to describe in someone who would be deemed as godless. You don't believe, you're a non-believer. Why do you think it was so easy for them to kill your people? Because they were killing people who they believed did not believe in the same deity. They believed that they were created by God and you were not. Apartheid was psychological. That's why some of them till this day suffer from a superiority complex, and many of us who own this land of ours suffer from an inferiority complex. That's why you can go into Woolworths and the black cashier will say to you, won't even greet you. But as soon as a white woman comes by, hello ma'am, how are you? How can I help you? It's psychological. Because somewhere, somehow, they've embedded within our generation that they are superior and we are inferior. And you know what we did? We ate it up. We ate it up. So much so that we perpetuate a system that was supposed to be dismantled over 30 years ago. We perpetuate it even in the way that we treat each other. And that's why such derogatory sayings always come up time and time again. Derogatory sayings. Sitlare sa motho montsho ke lekgowa. Derogatory. What it basically means is that you want to be able to control a black man, bring a white man. Who taught us that? Who told us that? Sometimes it's not about dismantling the physical. Sometimes it's about liberating and decolonizing our own minds as black people, so that we can finally believe that this country is actually ours. And maybe we will stop living like second citizens or secondary citizens in a country where we were here first. But you see, the architect of apartheid, while studying on Afrikaner nationalism, and by the way, you've got Afrikaner, it's called AEE, Afrikaans Economic Empowerment. You know how there's so much backlash about BEE? Black Economic Empowerment? Afrikaners had Afrikaner Economic Empowerment and nobody said anything about them. There was a whole system to ensure that even the Afrikaner who was not educated, had a job, had a business, they took care of their own. It was called Afrikaner Economic Empowerment. Look it up. And yet when we say we have to look after our own, it seems as though what we're doing is stealing from the state. But when the Afrikaners were doing it and calling it Afrikaner Economic Empowerment, it was okay. If the Republic of South Africa were to be likened to a home, our president would be the father of the house with the fellow parental unit comprised of cabinet and all of those in government. Now you see, when the house is poor, one would understand why is it that the children in that house have to go to bed hungry or don't have jobs, don't have prospects for a future. But let me tell you another fact in a myth that we've been perpetuating, a narrative that we've been perpetuating endlessly. South Africa is not poor. South Africa has money. A lot of it. Ask Vusmuzi Kat Matlala. He'll tell you. Am I wrong? South Africa's got money. It's all, every time people say South Africa does not have money, I sit and I say, no, South Africa has got money. We're rich. The problem is those that are custodians of our wealth are still unfortunately suffering from an inferiority complex, still giving those who benefited in apartheid money and making their people starve. Doesn't make sense. Why is it that if we've got so much money, Vusmuzi Matala will tell you straight up, there's money in this country. Tembisa Hospital that was looted. The people of Tembisa Hospital, they know there's money here. That's why somebody could supply Tembisa Hospital with skinny jeans and get away with it. And they did. That's the scary part. We laugh, but actually it happened. Somebody supplied a hospital with skinny jeans and they bought them. Ask Babita Diokaran, who was shot outside of her house with her children. She was uncovering how much money this country has got. It's just that this country, unfortunately, has decided to enrich the few at the expense of the millions. Ask Hangwani Maumela how much money this country will have. The blue cars will tell you. South Africa is not poor. But then I ask myself, if South Africa is not poor, and if we were to liken this country to a house, why is it that the parents of this house are okay with allowing their children to go to bed hungry every night? You can't sleep in a house if your children are hungry. Are there parents in the room? Just raise your hands very quickly. Parents. Can you go to bed knowing that your children have not eaten that night? Do you go to bed knowing that sleep peacefully, going to bed knowing that your children have not eaten? So why do we allow it in this house of ours? In this house of ours called the Republic of South Africa, our children go to bed hungry. And somewhere, somehow, the adults in the room can sleep. It doesn't make sense. So perhaps we need to start by dismantling a few things. Perhaps we need to start with the understanding that this country belongs to all and not just a few political card-carrying members and the white bosses of the state. Because South Africa does have white bosses. Don't let them fool you. But I want to speak to you students for a little bit. You students are not your parents. You are not your do you hear me? You are not your parents. You may live in the design of the system, but you were not physically touched by the architect of the system. You are the ones who are truly mentally free. Because you hold the understanding that no one is better than you just because they are white and you are black. You are the ones that understand that the mental shackles that were imposed upon the older generation do not exist with you. A white man is not better than you. All they do have is a different pigment. That's what separates you. Is that your skin is just a little bit darker, but I tell you one thing, melanin is beautiful. And they made you believe it for the longest of time that melanin was to be despised. But our skin is beautiful. You are not the ones who are held back by an inferiority complex, for you realize that this country belongs to you. So what should you do with this freedom? What should you do with it? Now that you know that actually, I'm not shackled. Yes, fine, I might live in this circumstance, but actually I understand that nobody's better than me just because they've got a different pigmentation. What should you do with this understanding? Number one, government works for you. You do not work for government. Let me be practical. When you go to vote and you cast your vote on a political party, do you know that you can put a political party in power, and if they don't serve you, you can take the political party out of power? So who does government vote for? Who does government vote for? But the problem is that they've taught you that that you work for government, that it's the other way around. You are actually the bosses of the stage. Can I also give you another fact? The median age in South Africa is 28 years old. South Africa is a youthful country. You're young. We're a young country. That's why we've got young people. And if I dare say to the adults in the room, if you do not take care of the next generation of leaders, you're going to be afraid of them. You're going to be afraid of them. Because 9.5 million of them cannot sit at home idly and think that they can take it any longer. And when they act, it's not going to be about the color of skin. It's going to be about the haves versus the have-nots. You can't send 9.5 million of our children to bed hungry and expect them to behave. We're no longer in 1972. We're in 2026, and our young people understand that they too belong in this state. It will never be the same again. Government works for you. So vote. Vote. Don't use excuses like, oh, but what is the point? You know what's the point? You can put them in power. Then you watch them and you say, oh, okay, you're not serving us. Get them out if they don't serve you. I don't understand why is it that through tender systems, people steal money. And that's not to say that the private sector doesn't steal. Oh, they steal. And then some. They steal for sure. The sad part with private sector is that they steal, and then sometimes after stealing, then you hear a report that somebody died. But they steal too. Vote. Make your leaders understand that they work for you. And if you're not happy with the political power, remove them. And put somebody else who will work for you in place. You see, you can make or break a political party. I'm going to give you a few examples as I close. Bangladesh, 2024, student-led protests against civil service, job quotas evolved into a massive anti-government revolution, forcing the long-time prime minister to resign and flee the country. That was in Bangladesh. Nepal, 2025, Gen Z demonstrators, that's you, clock it. Gen Z demonstrators organized via digital channels and street rallies to protest corruption and economic decay, culminating in the resignation of their prime minister and the setting up of an interim administration. Madagascar, 2025, youth-led marches triggered by severe water and electricity shortages. Does that not sound like load shedding? Snowballed into a nationwide unrest, leading to the collapse of the government and the departure of their president. Kenya, 2024 to 2025, widespread Gen Z-led mobilization against controversial finance bills and tax hikes forced the government to withdraw the proposed legislation and reshuffle leadership. I'm not saying declare this country ungovernable. I am saying that you better make sure that you help your leaders understand that they work for you. They work for you. You are the ones that are in charge, so vote them in, and if they don't serve you, vote them out. And to the adults in the room, we're living with the decisions that were made without the majority of voices. I bet if you asked Chris Hani, he would tell you the same thing. We're living in a country that the few determine the fate of the many. But we understand it was a different time. But you cannot have a country where its young people do not have economic prospects and think that it will be a country that is sustainable. It is not sustainable. So as the grown-ups of this Republic of South Africa, what are you going to do to ensure that there is a sustainable future and a legacy for your children? Because those that are in this room are your children. What do we say to them when you leave? What do you say to them when there's no country to inherit? You have the responsibility of making sure that this country works. I do my part, but I can't do it alone. Yes, I create jobs for our young people, but I can't do it alone. It has to take all of us. A king can never be great where the rest of his subjects are poor. You can never be a king in the midst of poverty. And to the young people in the room, this Republic of South Africa belongs to you. You are the future of this country. You are the unfinished business. You see, when Josephine lost her life because she was fighting against the system, she didn't do it so that one day in 2026 we may look at the system and say we give up. Too much was sacrificed. Too many were killed. Too much blood was shed for you to give up on this republic and for you to give it away. Don't give away this country. Don't let the criminals win. Don't let those who would loot the state of ours and then decide to vie off and move to another country when it doesn't work, win. Do not and refuse at all instances to be bogged down by an inferiority complex. This country is yours. Make sure that your leaders understand that they work for you. And start at the local government elections. November 4th, it's coming up. Wake up. Vote. So that when a leader is in power, they know that their time is limited unless they can prove. It's called a performance appraisal. If you don't perform, you'll get out. It's time that South Africa understands that this republic will not work without adequate or adequate accountability. It's your republic. Own it. And if your leaders do not care about this republic, show them that this republic can work without them. Because it's yours. That is the unfinished business. The next 40 years has to be a 40 years where we grow the economy, obtain the foreign direct investment, outroot corruption, outroot the parents who want to steal from their children. There's nothing that makes me angry hearing about an SIU report where somebody's 30 cars were taken or seized back by the SI. What is that? Somebody's Lamborghinis were taken back. What is that? It's sickening to know that greed has got a black face now. Greed had a white face. It still has one. But greed's face is fast becoming black, and we can never allow that as the people of this country. This is our republic. This is our nation. These are our children. We have a responsibility to finish the work that Josephine Moshobane has started. And I'm looking to you in this room so that we can ensure that what she started those years ago can finally be completed. So that one day you and I will stand proud and say that this country was once segregated, but no more, because we are free, and we are free indeed. I thank you.
When I say that we are ready for a female president, I mean it. We have a very strong candidate here, and that is Faith Mangope. Thank you so much. The University of Limpopo Marketing Department under Ntate Khomuyeswana, you've done a great job here. Thank you so much for bringing such a knowledgeable guest speaker for us in this institution. We really thank you. Faith has highlighted that South Africa is rich. You know, many of us who are employed will attest to this and say, yes, we are rich, but why are we poor? Because it's true, Faith, that on the 3rd of every month, almost all of us here are broke. That's very sad. We can't be living in a country that has so much money, but we, the voters, why are we so poor? We have to start asking ourselves these pertinent questions. Why are we poor? I'm going to open the floor for questions directed to Faith. She's the one who's going to answer them. We have only 20 minutes. So I'm going to ask for help from the marketing department with roving mics so that we can just get questions on the floor. By the show of hands, how many would like to ask questions, Faith, some questions? We've got 20 minutes, by the way. Yes, we've got only 20 minutes, yeah, 20 minutes. So, this is what I'm gonna do. I've recognized how many hands here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay. This is what you're gonna do. I'm going to give you a mic and you're going to tell us your name, your surname, and which school you come from. Okay. Please stand up. You can ask your question.
I greet you all. My name is Shokano Kopano. I'm from Afulfula High School. So the question I would be asking is, what lesson do you think that current students at UL take from Mrs. Josephine Moshobane from her slogan that education is never enough without activism?
We're going to take 3 questions. So let's get the next question.
Good afternoon. My name is Kamarela Terejan from Mafolo High School. And my question for Ms. Faith is, given the current predicament of our country, from corruption being exposed at the Matlango Commission, the high unemployment rates, the current problems at many schools whereby they're dictating the black child's hair, would it be wrong for a young person to believe that we have entered a new phase of oppression, but this time our oppressors look like us? Thank you.
Okay. Let's get the 3rd question. 3rd question. Oh, no. Yeah, the 2nd round will go that side.
Greetings to you all. I go by the name of Josephine Moshobane Memorial from High School. So my question is, when we honor Mrs. Moshobane with speeches and performances, do we also honor her? Do we also honor her like by...
No, you can ask, you can ask.
Okay.
Continue.
Okay, let me start from the beginning, okay? When we honor Mrs. Moshobane with speeches and performances, do we also honor her for the issues she died for? Yes, that was my question.
Okay, let's have the 4th one. Let's have the 4th one. This side, please. Let's have the 4th one this side, on the right side. On the right side. Let's move quickly. We'll have 4 questions. Faith will answer, then we'll take 4 more questions from the floor.
Revolutionary greetings, Mrs. Faith. I am Senamela Makoba Miriam from Gerson Injia Secondary School, well known as Comrade Senamela. The question of the day, my mother, is I want to know if you would advise me or us as the future leaders of our country if we should fight by blood or if we should do negotiations. And I thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Faith Mangope, the floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you so much. Oh, the number of hands that are in this room, we're going to be here for a while. So, I do thank you. And listen, keep them coming. Yes. The first question, what lesson do you take? Should education is never enough without activism? True. You know, when the Fees Must Fall protest was taking place, I was there. I was not at school anymore. I studied at university, but I'm about to be enrolled here. But so I was studying I was working already, and it was the Fees Must Fall, and the kids were organized, or the young people were organizing themselves. You know what I said? I said, no. These are young people. I am similar to their age. I also want to be counted in the front line. And we were part of the group that marched to the union buildings. I was there. When the helicopters were flinging around us, I was there. When the police threw tear gas on us, it fell on me. It was so, I'd never understood what tear gas feels like, but I got it that day. It's terrible. Don't recommend. But if there's one thing that it did help me understand, is that education without activism does not inspire your consciousness. You have to be conscious to the realities of today and alive to what's happening today. And I often say that when you don't like the status quo, change it. Change it. Education is there to expand our minds. Activism is to ensure that those things that we're not happy about, those things that make us not progress as a people are addressed. And not every single problem deserves a protest action. It doesn't. Not every problem is worth protest. Some problems, it just takes you reminding your counselor that, listen here, your days are numbers. On the 4th of November, you're going to be out of here. Not every action deserves protest. But education in itself is a form of activism. When you expand your mind, when you start seeing the world laterally, when you start getting exposed to other learnings and literature, when the likes of Frantz Fanon become part of your literature and reading, or my one also, Paulo Coelho, because I adore him, you start thinking bigger about your life. You start becoming uncomfortable with the status quo. And that in itself is a form of activism. Poverty is a curse. I don't care what anybody tells you. Nobody must ever glorify poverty. No one must ever glorify. It's not a blessing. It is a curse to be poor. But we have to look at how do we get ourselves out of poverty. How do we do it? So, education in itself is a form of activism. Why do you think that the apartheid government did not want to educate our mothers and fathers properly? Because it was a form of activism. The more I'm educated, the more I'm exposed. The more I'm exposed, the more I'm aligned to the global community. The more I'm aligned, the more things become. That's why the one thing they wanted to pull up under our feet was education. The second question, have we entered into a new phase where our oppressors look like us? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, we have. Yes, ma'am. You see, that's why it's so hard for us to fix this country fast. I think I was reading somewhere that apartheid, I mean, if you don't count colonialism, right? So if you count from, let's say, 1948, when the National Party got into power, and you don't count perhaps the times before then when we were under colonial rule, I think it's about 46 years that apartheid was until the end of apartheid, right? One day, we're going to be celebrating 46 years of democracy. What are we going to say we've achieved in those 46 years? We can't have those who look like us steal from us. But it's hard to hold them to account, because why would someone who looks like me, who knows my pain, who knows my suffering, who knows the blood that was shed, why would that very same person be the person that steals from me? And South Africa faces that conundrum. Why would someone who looks like me steal from me? They understand my pain too. And maybe also is the reason why many families, and I'm sure the family of Josephine will be able to attest to this, why is it that those who killed our people under apartheid, some of them have been integrated in the South African National Defence Force? Others are members of the South African Police Service and they're generals there. Why? The white man didn't do that. Why is it that when the dockets, I think there were about 300 or so of them, after the TRC, after the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, we had dockets that were filed because the witnesses came forward and they told their stories. They shared what was going on in the country, right? And we had names, we had witnesses, we had people. Where are the dockets from the TRC? Where did they go? Where are the people who committed the crimes? I can tell you where they are. They're probably earning a good pension fund. But that was not them. That was done by those who look like us. So what perhaps we need to do is ask ourselves the difficult question. If those who were once our liberators have now become our oppressors, is it not time that we do to our oppressors, to our liberators, what we once did to those who oppressed us before? I'm not saying everything is worth a protest, but I'm saying everything deserves accountability. Nobody must think that the presidency or the seat of the president is a privilege. It's an honor to be on that seat. It is a privilege to be considered the first citizen of this country. It needs to be taken with that kind of respect. Anybody that works for government is a public servant, not an entrepreneur. I'll leave that there. We've got way too many entrepreneurs who are in government today. Should we not be highlighting the issues that she died for? Absolutely. Absolutely. But these are the issues that she died for that we're talking about today. It's not easy having to focus on your study, lead a revolution, run away from the police, fear for your life, end up incarcerated, being beaten, being tortured. She did that because she truly believed that one day South Africa would be free. That her skin color would not be a crime. It is unfortunate that economically in this country, our skin color is still a crime. Economically, we are still a crime. Socially, politically, yeah. We're good. We can have the vote so long as you don't have the land. And I truly believe that these are some of the issues that we're speaking of today. Advice, if we need to fight, should we fight by blood? I made mention of fees must fall. I don't believe in violence. I'm not a violent person. I'm feisty. I will tell you exactly what I think, and I don't back down. But I don't believe in violence. Do you know what I do think what has happened in this country, though? Is that when somebody has been given 30 years to fix the country, and then they don't fix it in year 1, or 5, or 10, or 15, or 20, whose fault is it? Ours or theirs? If someone does not fix the country, Maya Angelou used to say, if somebody shows you who they are, believe them. If someone does not fix the country by year 15, and yet you still vote for them, whose fault is it? If somebody does not fix the country by year 20, and you still vote for them, whose fault is it? You see, we have made complacency normal. We have made lack of service delivery normal. It's not normal that you don't have running water in your house. It's not normal. But we've normalized dysfunction in this country. And in order for us to take it back, we first start off with changing the way in which we see the electoral system, where the people truly understand that they possess the power. You possess the power. And those who are supposed to be serving the public see it as an honor and a privilege to serve. It's an honor and a privilege to serve South Africans. But you shouldn't go into government to be a billionaire. And if you're going into government to be a billionaire, anybody that goes into government to be a billionaire besides serving the people of this country, I ask you nicely, get them out. Get them out. But I will equally say this, Comrade Sinamel. If the adults in the room don't pay attention to the cries of their children, If the adults in the room are comfortable with the 9.5 million of their children that are not in education, not in employment, and not in training, it's time for the children to show the adults that they can no longer contain it. It's not normal. It's dysfunctional. Yeah, those are the questions for now.
Thank you so much. Those who've just walked in, welcome and good afternoon. Can we please have 4 more questions? The last round.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Bernard Ramatavata Qina. Yes, from Mafufulu, of course, but way back. Let me be short.
Please.
Yes, sorry. To Miss Faith, it's directed to you. What is it that you have plowed back to the community that you come from as a rising star? From the media community, of course. And then also, number 2, it's just a comment. I thought I will find many women wearing dukes in here, but however, let me applaud the 2 that I see there in the...
Let's be short.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we please have another one? Maybe let's go this side.
Afternoon. I go by the name of Cassius Mamabolo. I'm a former learner at Tweety High. So my question will be that since the police oppressed us and placed us under pressure, and still today we can actually see the same police wearing the same uniform every day, and that doesn't actually carry us based on like what they used to do, right? The uniform also holds too much fear and pressure against black people because the same uniform used to oppress us just because they changed their vehicle from mustard yellow to white. That doesn't make it a different solution. So my question was that why the apartheid uniform, police, whatever, hasn't changed?
It's afternoon, thank you. Greetings, Ms. Faith and the MC. My name is Maponya Samuel Ramanala from Class Mutapo Secondary School. Firstly, I'll start with a comment. Thank you for enlightening us that not everything we see is gold. There's silver behind it and there's a white man behind it. You understand? So with another comment, I heard you said something about the white people being there. The problem always began up there. So from me to you as a learner, so you believe that we are still locked in those classrooms, being taught, or even my school is 9 hours, currently is 9 hours a day. So with that, you agree with me that we are locked there, just for us to gain knowledge that is not going anywhere. We come here and then we say, UL hire us, they will not be employed. And then we come here, we say, UL, I have this, I got level 4, wow. We still graduate, but then tomorrow I don't get work. That means you agree with me that being in those classrooms is not doing any good. Being in those classrooms is actually doing more harm than good. Because right now I have a book, and then I'm gonna read.
Let's ask that question, please.
Okay, the question is, you believe that being in those classrooms, it's actually time wasting because I'm still learning about Herbert Hooper, but then I could learn about this woman who fought for me to be here today.
The last one. The last question.
Greetings to the House at large. My name is Chokwe Palafala Evidence. I'm a student here at the University of Limpopo. My question is, given that the youth is responsible for choosing leaders, to what extent is cancel culture an effective tool to holding those leaders accountable between elections, and what are the limits?
Thank you so much for that question. We need the whole day for this, but unfortunately we do not have time. Over to you, Ms. Mangope.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the questions. Let me answer the first one. What have I plowed back? Very simply, I give young people jobs. The people that study in my institute study for free, sir. They don't pay. We give the young people that come to our institute 3,000 stipend, 3,000 rand a month of a stipend. They get 3,000 rand a month. They don't pay 1 cent. Not only that, we provide them with international certifications. So it speaks to your question around education. We provide our young people with international certifications because we want them to be globally competitive. We give them even lunch. Every day my kids come to my school and we give them lunch for free. They don't pay for their lunch. Every day, every month we give them 3,000 rand. We pay for that. They come to my school and every single one of my students has got a laptop. Every single one. You see, after that, through the program or the partnership we have with YES, we're able to place them in those forums. The 62 kids that I was mentioning that work at First National Bank, they're currently going through their training program. Their starting salary at the end of their training is going to be 45,000 rand a month. So, what am I doing to plow back? I'm changing lives. So, about the police. You know what we have in this country? We've got too many entrepreneurs and less public service. And unfortunately, we've got public servants who are now entrepreneurs. There's a guy who was I think he's now suspended or was fired, and he now has been arrested, and then he ended up in hospital because he was shot, and then he never appeared at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. When he was supposed to appear at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, he was shot. He's a police guy, by the way. He's a policeman for Rose Khan. I think they said that he owned about 30 vehicles. Policeman. So I asked you this. When the men and the women who are in blue, who are tasked with serving and protecting the state, would rather loot from the state, what hope do the citizens have? Who protects the people? So it's not like the apartheid police where, well, unless it's public order policing, that's a conversation for another day, but the animal and the beast has changed. As a result of social media, instant gratification, celebrity culture, we have our politicians who want to be celebrities instead of being public servants. We have government officials who want to be celebrities and go to Dubai instead of being public servants. We've got policemen who want to take drug money from the drug lords instead of being policemen. You've got the police that are working with the drug lords so that they can sell drugs to our children. When there's a drug bust, the police are the ones, and not all police, by the way, I'm being very specific, not all. There are amazing police officers in this country. But you've got some police officers who would side with the criminals, take the bribe on the side, and tell the criminal when the raid is coming. All because the policeman wants to be a celebrity so that he can post his side chick on Instagram. That's the reality we're living with. I think what underpins it is greed. Greed is our problem. And what greed does, sir, is that it fails to help the individual recognize that there is enough for all of us to eat. Greed takes away the logic that there is room and there is money in this country for all of us to eat. Every one of us. Just ask yourself the question, why is it that so many people go to bed hungry? But I think the annual stats said about, I think it was 700 tons of food gets wasted every single year. Food gets thrown out on purpose. On purpose, they throw food away instead of giving it to the poor, so that they can create the demand for food the next day. Capitalism. It's capitalism. So I hear you about the police. We've got too many business people and not too many servants. Classroom teachings. Look, So long as Jan van Riebeck is being prioritized over Josephine Moshobane, you're not studying the right thing. It's just a fact. So long as Jan van Riebeck takes precedence over Chris Hani, yeah, you're not studying the right thing. The classroom is supposed to liberate the mind of a child. And I'm not saying do away, throw away the baby with the bathwater. I'm not saying do away with Jan van Riebeck. What I am saying is that let's be true to South Africa's culture. Do you know who writes textbooks? And if white people who own, a lot of the publishing houses are owned by white people, right? And if the books are written by white people, who owns the narrative? So now, if the narrative is owned by those who publish and write it, is the history going to be written in a way that reflects the true atrocities of apartheid? No. That is not to say, sir, that school is a waste of time. School is not a waste of time. The whole purpose of education is to help you expand. It's to help you think. School exists to teach you how to critically think. You cannot navigate the world without critically thinking. You can't. You can't. But it is sad. I wish schools would teach artificial intelligence and we'll have a lot of you becoming prompters, because that's the world we're going into. 2030, you should hear how these billionaires are talking. 2030, they're saying that about half of the world's population won't have jobs because you have to go into AI prompting and data analytics and big data. Are they teaching you that at school? But school does help you to critically think. Go to school. Get in higher education. Learn. And if you want to come to my school too, I'd love to have you guys. You know? But schools are there to help you think. Make sure that you understand thinking. Cancel culture and limits. Listen to me. The only thing I can say to you is that if a politician is not serving you, cancel him or her. Cancel him or her. Because that's why we have a regurgitation of the same leaders who don't do anything but they come back. Or somebody will fail in this department and then they'll, what was I reading? 62 of our municipalities, or 62% I think it was. No, 62 of our municipalities are bankrupt. Doesn't make sense. But the limits are, don't be rude, and we just vote differently. Vote differently. They work for you, you don't work for them. They are supposed to be public servants and serve you. You are not their servants. They work for you. So the problem with our people is that they forgot that who works for who. So young people, I implore you, remind your government that they work for you. Maybe less of them will want to drive around with blue car brigades and bodyguards and more on the streets making sure that our potholes are filled. But the reason why it's got protection services and bodyguards and all sorts of theatrics is because they forgot who they actually work for. So remind them. Remind them. We've got November 4th to remind them. Remind them on November 4th who works for who. So that you can finally take this country back. The median age in South Africa is 28. It is youthful. Don't let them let you forget that. Don't develop amnesia from that. It's your country. It's your South Africa. It's our responsibility to make sure that it works. And if any leader does not want to make sure that this country works, that person is not deserving to be called even a South African. And if somebody loots from the state instead of sharing the loot, that person is not worthy of being called a South African. And I think we need to start taking our country that seriously. Because I love this country. I'm not going anywhere. I hope you love it as much as I do too. Thank you.
40 years of age, Faith Mangope is doing a lot for the youth of this country. Thank you so much, Faith. Unfortunately, we do not have enough time to take another round of questions, but thank you for those who have asked questions. You've asked very relevant questions. It's so beautiful listening to young people asking relevant questions about the state of affairs in this country. By the powers vested in me as the program director, I'm going to turn things around just a bit. On the program, I understand that we should be having a musical item, but I will ask for Mama Raisibe Matlaji to come to the front, and we're going to have a musical item after her as our guests prepare to walk out. Mama Matlaji, please come to the fore. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon. I understand that we are tired, but we can still do better. Good afternoon. Yeah, that's better. Okay. First things first. Before it became this August event, it started somewhere. Having said that, allow me to extend our deepest gratitude to all who contributed to today's commemoration of Mama Josephine Moshobane on behalf of the University of Limpopo Management. To our Vice Chancellor and Principal, Dr. Mabelebele, we are profoundly grateful for your presence and leadership. Your opening and welcome remarks not only set the tone for this occasion, but also reminded us of the university's unwavering commitment to honoring and presenting the legacy of our fallen heroes. We thank you. There were renditions. The Moshobane Tiro residents, aka UL choristas, and the Obiase Guyo. Your musical tributes touched our hearts deeply, I must say. And you really gave life to the spirit of remembrance. It was as if it happened yesterday. Thanks for that. Mbali, Moshobane and Mama Traifina, we really appreciate and we thank you for moving the tribute. And the candle lighting ceremony, you really reminded us of the enduring legacy of Mama Josephine. We understand that it is still not easy with the family, but you had the courage to come and share with us the pain that you went through and are still going through. To Mr. Mihlapi, our leadership, we need men like you, men who acknowledge the role that women are played, the role that women played in the past. We should really fight this notion of the us and them. It's like we're still fighting as men and women, fighting for space and acknowledgement. And you are really doing good in fighting that notion. We thank you. Performing arts. I guess some of us were really tearing after your performance. You made us to relive the lived experience of Mama Josephine. That was, I don't know whether to say it was super, but it was so touching. And the names of those heroes that you mentioned are and will forever be engraved in our hearts. High school learners, I think you learned from that drama that it didn't come easy to be where we are today. Blood was shed. Thanks, Performing Arts. Miss Sinyatsi Hansel, I guess you understand or you understood your mandate. Mama Josephine will have loved to see you chairing Ulwasa, and that's where you are today. And you did a sterling job in introducing our guest speaker. Thank you. Guys, not every, I'm sorry to say guys, not every theory is proved using the mathematic, what do you call, whatever. Some are proven without using the formula. I wanted the word formula. There's a notion that says dynamite comes in small packages. I've proven that today. Anyone who has proven that? Anyone? It's only me. Oh, yeah, some. I really have proven that Miss Mangope, looking at her, she's so petite, so portable, but she can move mountains. One of the lessons that I took from her presentation today is that if we tell ourselves that we are liberated, if we reminisce about being liberated, that is a blue lie. We are not yet there, not yet Uhuru. We are equally to blame for this stagnation. I think we've heard you, Ms. Mangope. I think we've heard, and we really need to reflect. But I trust that with the leadership of Dr. Mabelebele, the university with its motto, finding solutions for Africa, we will definitely do something to bring the change. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The questions, learners, I like your bravery. You are so brave. During our time, we wouldn't have raised our hands just to question, but you were so brave, and I like that. And believe you me, the question that you posed are really adding value to today's event. Thank you so much. How can I forget our program director? Who steered today's proceedings with professionalism, warmth, and respect. The event was driven in a very dignified manner. Ms. Mogashwa, we really appreciate, and we know you never let down. We thank you so much. Lastly, let me thank everyone who is in this hall to honor Mama Josephine. I know you had equally important events and errands that you needed to run, but you spared the date and time to honor this event. We really appreciate. We thank you. Now let me say something. Some of us have been waiting for this. It's like we have reached the end of our program. And then when we go, or once the program director announces that we may leave, she's got the power. Learners remain seated. allow our principal, our vice principal and vice chancellor and principal to go, allow our guests, our dignitaries, the Moshobane family, and all those who need to go first to go. And there are asharas who will tell you what to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mama Raisibe Matlaji. We have come to the end of our program. Thank you to everyone who participated. We understand that you had other things to do, but you decided to come here and honor the legacy of Mama Josephine Moshobane. Thank you so much to the Council of the University of Limpopo, led by its chairperson, Mr.